Okay, the next topic we're going to talk about is cell size and the limits to a cell size. This is CED topic 2.3. Explain the effect of surface area to volume ratios on the exchange of materials between cells or organisms and the environment. And this is found in chapter 4, section 4.1 of your textbook. So not all cells are created equal, just like people. The smallest cells, known as mycoplasms, are 0.1 to 1 micrometers in diameter, and those are typically bacterial cells. The eukaryotic cells are 10 to 100 micrometers in diameter. So you can see the increase in cells. You have the atom, and then small molecules, 1 nanometer, up to proteins, which are 10 nanometers, viruses, 100 nanometers, and then bacteria, which are like 1 micrometer to 10 micrometers in size. And this is bacteria is where we get into living cells. All the rest of this is not a living cell. And so then you can see eukaryotic cells are 10 to 100 micrometers. So most cells are tiny in order to maintain a good surface area to volume ratio. The volume of a cell determines its metabolic activity per unit of time. That means how much stuff it can break down and produce in a matter of time. And that's the volume of a cell. The surface area of a cell determines the amount of substances that can enter or leave the cell. Bigger cells will metabolize more because they have more volume, but they'll need more surface area to support that metabolism because they need more surface area to get more things in and out of the cell. The sites of the metabolism in bigger cells will also be further from the surface of the cell, so it will take longer to get to the different organelles that need to perform the actions for cellular respiration, photosynthesis, so on and so forth. So one of the reasons cells are small is because as an object grows larger, its volume increases more rapidly than its surface area. So cells have to maintain a large surface area to volume ratio in order to function. So if you look at the image, you can see the 1 millimeter cube, its surface area is 6 millimeters squared, but its volume is 1 millimeter cubed. So you end up with a surface area of 6 to 1. So that's a nice high ratio, and that's what we want because the surface area can compete with the volume that's inside and have an efficient working cell. When you get up to a 2 millimeter cube, you have 24 millimeters squared for surface area and then 8 millimeters cubed. So that gives you a 3 to 1. And as you increase even more, you can see the ratio goes down. So as you increase in size, the surface area to volume ratio gets smaller. That's why we want a larger surface area to volume ratio because it means a smaller cell. So as a cell grows larger, the metabolic activity, the need for resources, and the rate of waste production increase faster than the surface area. So you can see in the image, the purple is the volume and the dark blue or black is the surface area. And you can see that as they start to increase, there's an area where they are relatively the same, but then at one point, right about here, you have this division where the volume increases twofold compared to the surface area. And so the surface area can't keep up with the volume, which prevents metabolic activity, resources from getting in, and rate of waste production is increased as well, and you can't get that out. So how are surface area and volume affected by growth? The surface area to volume ratio decreases as the size of a cell gets bigger, just like I said before. This ratio is critical because the high surface area to volume ratio allows a faster exchange of materials between a cell and its environment than a low surface area to volume. You want a high surface area to volume ratio. So here's your surface area to volume ratio. Here's the size of your cell. And as your ratio, as your size increases, your ratio decreases. And we want a high surface area to volume ratio. You have to think of it like a balloon. The latex outer area is the surface of the cell. but then all that air that's inside, but taking up that whole interior of the cell, that's the volume. So you can see there's much more volume than there is surface area. And when you increase that volume, you have to have an adequate surface area in order to get materials in and out. It's going to need more materials to come in and out because it's got to maintain that volume. And it's going to have to travel further, so it's going to take longer to get to the locations that it needs to perform the reactions to make that cell survive. So how do we solve this problem? How do we increase surface area without increasing the size, the volume? So bigger cells have a greater metabolism than smaller cells, just like larger people have a higher intake of calories than smaller people. But bigger cells have a proportionately less surface area for exchange. So what we do, or what life does, is they throw out extensions, okay? So in the small intestine, we have what are called villi or microvilli. And these are like finger-like projections that extend out from the small intestine. Remember, your small intestine's job is to absorb nutrients. And so the more surface area it has, the more nutrients it can absorb, the better off the organism is to survive. So it extends out these microvilli fingers without increasing the volume too much, and it increases its surface area without increasing its volume. So that's one way. Another way is to flatten it into a thin film, okay? If it makes the cell flat and thin but longer, you're increasing your surface area but not increasing your volume. And then the other is to divide the cytoplasm into smaller volumes. So like an early human embryo, we start out as a single cell, as a zygote, but as we get too large, it's not efficient to work that way anymore. So then we divide, and we keep dividing and keep dividing and keep dividing into smaller cells. Every time the cells get too large, we make a division. Cells grow larger, we make another division until you get this multicellular organism. So multicellular organisms show the same adaptations. So plants, flowering plants have extensive branched root systems so that all those roots that branch out on there, they increase the surface area without increasing the volume of the plant. And so they can absorb maximum water and minerals to sustain the plant. So mammals have a long small intestine along with the internal folding to absorb digestion and the microvilli that aid in increasing the surface area and not the volume as well. And that's your surface area to volume ratio. Short and sweet. We will do some labs on this. We'll hopefully help you understand, and there'll be some videos provided to give you some more visuals if you have any questions. Thank you.